I think people need to recognize we are not dealing with a cohesive culture that believes in rights in the Constitution. If you are going to a jury trial in D.C., you will go to jail.
Right.
And it is not because of some, well, you were convicted by a jury of your peers. It's because you're an enemy.
Right.
It's because you're a political enemy. Right. This is the kind of thing that we see in countries that are on the verge of collapse. Again, that is not prescriptive. I don't know what happens to the United States in the coming years, but I think it has been widely accepted by academics and journalists across the spectrum. We are in civil strife. Civil strife periods do not always lead to civil war. There, I said it. But we have talked about this quite a bit. I've been involved in copyright cases. First thing my lawyer says to me is, where can we file? You file in a blue district, you lose. You file in a red district, you win. No question. Timpool files a lawsuit in West Virginia over a copyright issue. That jury is going to be like, we love Timpool. Tim wins. You go to New York, they're going to be like, far right, he loses. It's not even about the merits anymore. Right. So every single one of these J6ers, let's take a look at the Antifa riots on January, I believe it was the 20th, 2017, at Donald Trump's inauguration, when the far left to hundreds, to 1,000 or so, rampaged through D.C., burning, setting vehicles on fire, starting fires in the streets, smashing up windows. What was the end result of that? Free to go with a payout. Many of these people filed a lawsuit against the federal government and won. Mm-hmm. They won money. J6ers, it didn't matter if you were. So I met a woman, her and her husband showed up several hours after the riots and everything had been breached. They were walking around D.C. and they walked up a clear and open pathway. They walked up to an open door, walked inside for a minute or two, looked around, and then left, having no idea what was going on. 18-month sentence. Because when you go to trial in D.C., you are standing before communists with one goal: to lock up a political enemy. End of story. Right. And there are too many people on the right who are like, I'm going to give my... Look, you're walking into a dragon's den to plead that he should not eat you. Mm-hmm. And I don't see why the dragon's going to be like, that was a great argument.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. No, and it's happened to so many people. And the thing that really we have to remember is that it's not over. Matthew Graves, who is maybe the biggest scumbag in the history of D.C., and that's saying something, he has declared that he's going to arrest 1,000 more J6ers. And they're arresting them at the rate of 5 or 6 a week. A lot of these guys that, 2.5 years go by after the first FBI visit, they think it's over. Mm-hmm. Suddenly they're arrested.
It's gross. It's because it's like badges of honor saying, look how many of those wild J6ers I locked up, but you're just wasting time and resources for your own political vendetta. And the thing is, all American taxpayers are paying for it. It's not just the people who vote Democrat. It's conservatives paying for their friends and family's conviction. I think that's gross.
And actual crime in D.C. is out of control because they're using all their resources to go after the enemies of democracy.
So let me ask this question then. Based on what we've seen with the J6ers and what we know about D.C. juries, 90+% Democrats, they don't care whether you did anything right or wrong. They care that you are a Trump supporter and they're going to lock you up. Already, Missouri's AG, Andrew Bailey, has filed a lawsuit to the Supreme Court against New York. New York is interfering in the election with an unconstitutional gag order on Trump. He argues the people of Missouri deserve to hear from the frontrunner on what he has to say. And New York is threatening him, interfering in that election. They cite other things as well. What will the Supreme Court decide? I don't know. In 2020, when Texas sued Pennsylvania for unconstitutional changes to their electoral process, the Supreme Court's general opinion was, you have no standing. You are Texas, not Pennsylvania. That's wrong. Thomas and Alito both said that's wrong. They should have taken the case. The argument is, if we are all agreeing to rules of an election in the Constitution, and one state breaks those rules to alter the outcome, it does impact the votes of other parties to this system. It should have been answered. What do you think is going to happen? I mean this both rhetorically for the audience, people want to comment, but also an actual question. When various states invariably in this election launch the lawsuits against other states and to the federal government, and we know that a New York jury is going to decide Democrat wins, federal Democrat judges, Obama appointees, and it won't fall this way 100%. But Clinton and Obama judges are going to say Democrats win. Trump and Bush judges, maybe not necessarily Bush judges, but you'll see more so saying, no, Trump wins. What happens to this country when there are challenges to the election that are determined purely based on the politics of the region and not the merits of the case?